Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Bloomberg's European headquarters. I'm glad to say that this building was rated the most sustainable building in the world when it opened in 2017. Norman Foster designed the building. I happened to have dinner with him last night. He is absolutely brilliant, and he really does care about the environment and all of his buildings that make sure that they're as good as they can be while servicing the people who aren't going to work in there or live in his buildings. And it was good to have be on the team with him. So welcome to the building. It's a great place to host all of you today. And also the commute from my desk was very easy, just up one ramp. And I'm going to point out it was zero carbon. So you can do some things right. Anyways, we've assembled a group of over 200 innovators from both business and finance, hailing from 20 different countries. And so to all of you and to the business leaders and investors attending virtually from around the world, thank you for your business and thank you for joining us today. We are all here and we're all focused on sustainability. We can't miss it. In our world, we talk about it all the time. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people in the world who don't focus on sustainability, and they're about to find out just how bad things are going to get. If you take a look at the heat waves that are going across America now, but also places like India and China, where it's getting to the point where you just cannot literally go outside. People are going to get a wake-up call, and hopefully they'll join the challenge that we have and do something about it. We want the planet to survive, and we want our companies to thrive, and you can certainly do both. You just have to be intelligent about it and train your resources to where they will do the most good. We're all looking to reduce costs. We're all looking to reduce energy usage and getting more of it from clean sources. And we're looking to reduce the very real financial risks posed by climate change, which are growing by the day alongside the worst of its impacts. We did get a vivid reminder of the harms that in New York this month. I don't know if you saw the photos, but it looked like something out of a science fiction movie. You'd look out and it wasn't that the sky was red, the air looking across the street was red, and you could see these tiny particles in the air. And it was all of the forest fires in Canada that blown down and across that part of the United States. It was a weird reddish orange, and it made the quality of air in New York the worst city in the world for a couple of days. And, you know, we in New York think, oh, there's nothing, that we don't pollute that much. It's a big city, but there's lots of air going through. The start of the Canadian wildfire season is unprecedented, and unfortunately, it's just the latest example of worsening climate change. When you talk to farmers across the middle of the country in America, they are furious because the Canadians are now growing the crops that they have had an exclusive ability to grow before. All of a sudden, it really is much warmer up there. All of a sudden, you can do different things there. And some of the things that they've been growing will no longer grow in the United States. When you turn on the television or just look outside your window, you can see these forest fires, you can see the droughts, you can see the storms and floods getting more extreme and more costly. And then you look on television and there's people who say, oh, climate change is a fake thing. It's just done by a few activists who are cuckoo, and they just don't seem to understand. But their houses are going to be flooded if they live near the ocean. The crops that they buy in the form of processed foods are going to cost a lot more or not be available. And they're going to have to change their lives, and it's going to catch up. It would be a lot better if it caught up to them earlier rather than later, but whatever it is. We really don't have a moment to waste, and when it comes to accelerating the global transition away from fossil fuels and towards clean energy, we've got to do it right now. Now, the good news is some of us are doing it that way, and we're doing it faster every day, and I'm glad that you are stepping up to help and setting increasingly ambitious clean energy goals. At Bloomberg, we're trying to lead by example, and nearly 55% of our global electricity is now sourced from renewable energy projects, and we're on track to meet our goal of 100% by 2025. So a year and a half from now, we should be there. Also, you should know that nearly all of the profits of this company go to Bloomberg Philanthropies, our philanthropic arm, which funds clean air and clean energy initiatives around the world, including close partnerships with national governments across Africa and Asia and Latin America. And now climate change is far too big to challenge for governments to tackle alone. I'm, after having been in government for a number of years, very skeptical about what they do and how serious they are. They talk a good game, but in all fairness, they don't do anywhere near as much as the private sector can do. And we've just got to make sure that the private sector understands that they should do it and get them to do it. And if you're an employee of a company, we are trying to urge you to call your boss and say, I want to work for a company that is friendly to the environment because my kids are at home, I'm working to support them, but I want them to breathe clean air. And more and more, what we've done through sponsoring the Sierra Club in the United States and some organizations over here in Europe, we've got these organizations to lobby the companies as investors in those companies, as employees of those companies, as customers of those companies, and say, we are not going to buy your product, work there, invest in you, unless you do something to help me make sure that my family has a future. And the results of that are, in America, we've closed, or in the process of closing, 70% of all the coal-fired power plants. And in Europe, 50%. And we're still going strong. And I think we can get to our goal of eventually getting rid of the dependency on coal. Then methane is the next thing you've got to worry about. But we just can't sit back, and I'm happy to say Bloomberg is not sitting back. And those of you who are customers of ours, maybe it'll put a smile on your face to know that the monies that you pay us for our products, and I hope you do more of that, are giving us the ability to maybe change the world. We are bringing more data and more transparency to our efforts every day. For example, the United Nations Climate Conference, COP28, is coming up, and we took a big step at last year's COP in Egypt. We joined French President Macron in announcing recommendations for a new public data portal, and now together we're working to build it. And for the first time, that portal will bring together accurate corporate climate-related data in one place and also make it available to the public. And we think that that will empower decision makers with the information they need to act and to hold companies accountable for making good on their climate promises. We're happy to harness the power of the markets too. And more than 550 financial institutions from over 50 countries have joined the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, or GFANZ as we call it, an organization that Mark Carney, the former head of the Bank of England, chairs. And I think I'm co-chair with him, but he's the one that deserves the credit. He's the one that's doing the work. And he's gotten the members of the coalition to produce plans for moving their entire portfolios to net zero.